Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to discuss Chapter 12, Section 5, Adding and Subtracting Radicals. Adding and subtracting radicals are done very much the same way as the steps taken to add 7x and 3x together. The rules state that we determine whether or not we have like terms. 7x and 3x are like terms. And then we add the coefficients. We can show this step, it's usually skipped. We're going to take 7 plus 3, we'll add them, the x is going to be left alone. So the answer to this problem would be 10x. With radicals, it's done much the same way. Instead of deciding like terms based on the variables and the exponents on those variables, we have to have the same radicands in our radicals in order to be able to add the terms. So in problem 1 here, we have a radical 2. For the 7 radical 2 there. 3 radical 2 has a radical 2 as well. Because they both have a radical 2, you can add them together. So this becomes 7 plus 3 radical 2, or 10 radical 2. This can be checked on the calculator. If you take 7 radical 2 and then take 3 radical 2 and add those together, it will be the equivalent of 10 radical 2 when put in decimal form. Okay. Now please remember that radical 3 does have a 1 in front of it, so I can rewrite that if I wish. Because both of my terms have radical 3, I can do the subtraction. So this becomes 5 minus 1 radical 3, which is 4 radical 3. For problem 3, I have a combination or a couple of subtraction problems here. All of them have a radical 5, so we have like terms. 8 minus 3 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. So the final answer for this is 3 radical 5. Let me erase that for the next problem. Radical 5 minus radical 2. Now, we do not have the same radicals. Radical 5 has 5 as its radicand. Radical 2 has 2 as its radicand. They cannot be subtracted. They are not like terms. I'll rewrite the problem just so I have something to box up. But they cannot be subtracted. Now, where this gets interesting is when we get to problem 5 here. Radical 3 and radical 27 are not like terms. However, there's a very good chance I can reduce radical 27. I didn't try to reduce in problem 4 because 5 is a prime number and 2 is a prime number. Can't reduce them. Radical 27, however, I can do off on the side. Radical 27 is equal to radical 9 times radical 3, which is 3 radical 3. So this problem is actually 2 radical 3 plus 3 radical 3. And I can add the 2 and the 3 together to get a final answer, 5 radical 3. So if you do not think you have like terms, try to see if you can reduce any of the radicals first, because they may be hiding like terms from you. And it is something you'll have to figure out off on the side. Like in problem 6, radical 8 I can reduce. That is radical 4 times radical 2, or 2 radical 2. If I multiply that by 6, I get 12 radical 2. So the first term is actually 12 radical 2. For radical 18, well, radical 18 is radical 9 times radical 2, which is 3 radical 2. I had a 4 out in front, so if I multiply by 4, this becomes 12 radical 2. So they're both 12 radical 2. 12 radical 2 minus 12 radical 2 is in fact 0. So the answer to number 6 is 0. Okay, going to our next page here. 2x, 8x, and 50x. Well, 2x is in simplest form already. 2 is prime. X to the first power cannot be simplified. So there's a very good chance radical 8x can be simplified. Let's see. I can take the square root of 4. I cannot take the square root of 2x. So 2 radical 2x is radical 8x reduced. There's a 7 out in front. So that's 14 radical 2x. For radical 50x, I can take the square root of 25. I cannot take the square root of 2x. So that's 5 radical 2x. And there's a 4 out in front. So 4 times that would give me 20 radical 2x. So my problem gets rewritten. It's 2 radical 2x plus 14 radical 2x minus 20 radical 2x. 2 plus 14 is 16, and 16 minus 20 is negative 4. So negative 4 radical 2x is the answer to that problem. For problem 8, I got a radical 12, I got a radical 48, and a radical 3. Radical 12 can be reduced. Radical 12 is radical 4 times radical 3, or 2 radical 3. Radical 48 is 16 times 3, so that's 4 radical 3. So this problem becomes 2 radical 3 minus 4 radical 3 plus 1 radical 3. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So negative radical 3 is the answer here. Alright, let's move some stuff around here, or actually I'll erase a little bit of this, give us some room. We're going to need some space. So let's get some space. Alright, we have 2/3 radical 18 and we have radical 72. Really isn't any nice hints in here. Let's reduce radical 18. It's radical 9 times radical 2, which is 3 radical 2. There's a 2/3 in front, so I'll bring that 2/3 in. 3 goes into 3 one time. This is 2 radical 2. Radical 72 is radical 36 times 2, or 6 radical 2. So this problem becomes 2 radical 2 minus 6 radical 2, or negative 4 radical 2. And number 10, last but not least, radical 27 is radical 9 times radical 3, or 3 radical 3. Radical 75 is radical 25 times radical 3, so that's 5 radical 3. And when I add them together, 8 radical 3 is your answer. Bring your books tomorrow. We will work on the assignment on page 490 in class. Please remember you will have a quiz on lesson 12.4, which is on simplifying radicals. Have a great evening. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.